Hey everyone, my name is Josh, and welcome back to your fourth stimulus check and news update. We have a lot of news to get into in today's video, but first, if you would like to receive 2 free stocks from Webull, valued up to $2,300, make sure to claim them by clicking my link, which you'll find in the description box below. Okay, so jumping right into the update for today, President Biden released his 6-step path out of the pandemic on Thursday, which has since garnered mixed opinions. What's considered to be his biggest step in his new mandate is to require all employers with at least 100 employees to ensure that all of their workers are fully vaccinated, or if they choose not to get the vaccine, to get tested once per week before returning to work. President Biden is actually instructing OSHA to develop this rule, which is expected to impact over 80 million workers in private sector businesses. Now, it's pretty obvious that this would be a pretty controversial move. We're already seeing many businesses coming out that have over 100 employees saying that they won't enforce this new vaccine mandate. This mandate also wasn't passed through Congress, so therefore could possibly be overturned by the Supreme Court, being declared as unconstitutional. Now, let's take a look back on what President Biden said earlier on, whether or not vaccines should be mandatory, as well as his press secretary, Jen Psaki's thoughts.
No, I don't think it should be mandatory. I wouldn't demand to be mandatory, but I would do everything in my power. Just like I don't think masks have to be made mandatory nationally.
That she's hit a brick wall with trying to convince people to get vaccinated. Is that a sign that perhaps the federal government should step in and issue mandates? And if not, are you putting the needs of unvaccinated people ahead of the needs of vaccinated people?
Well, I think the question here, one, that's not the role of the federal government. That is the role that institutions, private sector entities, and others may take. That certainly is appropriate. Also, local communities are going to take steps they need to take in order to protect people in their communities. I will say we understand her frustration, and we understand.
So Biden and Psaki both say that the role of the federal government is not to enforce vaccines on private business employees. Now, we've seen some private businesses already enforce vaccines among their employees or weekly tests, which is arguably fine. After all, they're a private business, they can do what they want, but for the federal government to come in without using the legislative process and force private businesses to do this is arguably going to be unconstitutional. We saw this earlier with the CDC declaring the eviction moratorium, another ruling that was eventually overturned. This ruling by OSHA, in my opinion, will most likely be overturned as well. Other than that, President Biden is also requiring vaccinations for all federal workers and for millions of contractors that do business with the federal government. Furthermore, the 17 million plus healthcare workers at Medicare and Medicaid participating hospitals and other healthcare settings will also be required to get vaccinated. Other than that, in order to get the vaccine, Biden is also going to have OSHA develop a rule that will require employers with more than 100 employees to provide paid time off for the time it takes for workers to get vaccinated or to recover if they feel bad after receiving the vaccine. Finally, the president is also calling on large entertainment venues, but not requiring them, to provide proof of vaccine or a negative test before entering the building. So again, this is pretty huge news. It's going to gain a lot of controversy. Some people are going to love it, others are going to hate it, and some people are just going to be indifferent. With that said, how do you personally feel about President Biden's new vaccine or testing mandate for all employers with at least 100 employees? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. In some other news, weekly first-time jobless claims dropped sharply to 310,000, which is a new pandemic low. Continuing unemployment claims also dropped to 2.78 million, which is a drop of 22,000. Back when the pandemic was declared in March of 2020, first-time claims were right around 215,000. They then reached a peak of 6.1 million, so obviously, since then, we made quite a bit of progress. Since then, many states have actually gotten their unemployment rates back to normal, which include ones like Nebraska, Utah, New Hampshire, and South Dakota. The states still doing poorly as far as unemployment goes include Nevada, New York, New Mexico, California, and New Jersey. In total, there are still 8 states with an unemployment rate of at least 7%. So clearly, we have some states doing quite a bit better than others. In some other news, even though Congress currently has a couple of different bigger bills on the table right now worth around $4 to $5 trillion, neither of them, at the moment, include a forced stimulus check. Also, many of the benefits included are for parents, college students, etc. That's why the Senior Citizens League is now creating a petition for a forced stimulus check, this one being worth $1,400. In the petition, which I will leave a link for in the description box below, it states, I want Social Security recipients to receive a $1,400 emergency stimulus check to cope during this unprecedented inflationary year. Social Security benefits are one of the few types of income in retirement adjusted for inflation, but soaring inflation has taken a toll on household finances of retired and disabled Social Security recipients. In 2021, Social Security benefits increased by just 1.3%, raising the average benefit by only about $20 a month. But about 86% of Social Security recipients surveyed say their expenses increased by much more than that amount. As one of the many supporters of TSCL who reside in your constituency, I strongly urge you that now is the time that you must support an emergency $1,400 stimulus check to Social Security recipients. So if you would like to sign that petition, again, I will leave a link in the description box below. There's also another petition, this one for $2,000 recurring checks, that has already gained nearly 3 million signatures. Needless to say, these petitions haven't necessarily helped all that much, as Congress continues to fail to include a forced stimulus check in their recent bills. Even though a forced stimulus check currently isn't being included in those bills, which we will get to in a moment, some states, such as California, are having their own stimulus payment programs. For those of you currently living in the state of California that haven't received your $600 payment, there is expected to be another batch of payments sent out in the next couple of weeks. Furthermore, for those of you expecting to receive a check in the mail for your payment, physical checks are going to begin going out on October 4th and will continue to be sent out through December of this year. Now, as I was just saying, at the moment, there are a couple of different bills currently being debated on in Congress. Now, both bills in a way are being attached to each other since progressive Democrats aren't allowing for the bipartisan bill to be passed without first the reconciliation one passing. Over the past couple of weeks, Democratic Senator Joe Manchin has really stuck a knife into the reconciliation bill by saying, at most, he would be willing to go as high as $1.5 trillion. Since progressive Democrats want to spend $3.5 trillion, this could cause quite a bit of issues. Are the two sides willing to negotiate? House Democrat James Clyburn believes there is.
Ceiling of 3.5 trillion is just that, a ceiling. No one has ever said that that's an exact number or that's a floor. It's up to 3.5 trillion. Now I see that Joe Manchin has mentioned a $1.5 trillion number. Well, somewhere between 1.5 and 3.5, there is $2 trillion. Those $2 trillion are there. And I think that there is a lot of room for people to sit down and negotiate. It may be when you're sitting around the table, you may not need 3.5 trillion to do what the president wants done and what the country needs done. But let's work on it and stay out of all of this negotiating in the media. That's not the way to negotiate. Let's keep this around the table and see what we can come up with.
So Clyburn says that there is $2 trillion worth of negotiating room. However, to this video, another House Democrat, Rashid Tlaib, said 3.5 trillion is the floor. Without a doubt, it should be an interesting and dramatic month of negotiations ahead. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Again, if you would like to receive a couple of free socks from Webull, make sure to quickly claim them by clicking my link, which you'll find in the description box below. To receive the first free stock, you will need to fully open an account. Then, to receive the second free stock, which will be valued up to $2,000, you'll need to make a qualifying deposit of at least $5. And even if you aren't all that interested in investing or continue to invest at this point in time, you can always sell the free stocks that you receive and transfer that money, however much they're worth, right back to your bank account. So free stocks or free money is completely up to you. So once again, I hope everyone has a great rest of their day, and I'll see you in the next video.